Hello, this is Faith at Faith and Books. How are you? I'm going to do a library haul. It's all tied into my sustainability July reading challenge, which it's kind of giving me a new lease on BookTube, I think, because I'm excited about it. And I had been sort of feeling so out of the loop, and then I couldn't figure out how to upload. So now I feel, more in tune with things. And I had been wanting to go to the library for a while, and I finally got to it today. So I thought I would do this haul. I always look so red when I sit here in my bedroom with the windows behind me and the sun going down. It always makes me look really red. I guess I am kind of hot because I just came in from outside. I'm also drinking wine, so maybe that's making me get flush or something flush. Yeah, I don't usually drink wine on Thursday nights, but we just got some bad news about somebody who I know. And so I had this bottle of wine that I was given for Mother's Day, and my husband said, why don't we just have a glass of wine? so that's why I'm drinking wine on Thursday. But anyway, I did do this library haul, and I have to show you the first one. It's really charming. These are all books on this idea of sustainability or conservation. And this one just jumped off the shelf at me. It's The Natural World of Winnie the Pooh, A Walk Through the Forest That Inspired the 100-Acre Wood by Catherine Alto. But man, it looks charming. It looks really, really charming. Let me see if I can show you some of the, so I didn't even know the 100-Acre Woods was based on a real forest. Let's see, what does it say? It says, the magical setting for the stories is a real place. The 100 Acres Wood was inspired by Ashdown Forest, a wildlife, somebody's trying to get in, it's probably the cat, a wildlife haven that spans more than 6,000 acres in southeast England. So isn't that amazing? Look, here's a beautiful photo. So this looks really charming. So this is definitely something. I don't know if it's the type of book that I'm going to sit and read from cover to cover, but I think I'm going to find it really fascinating. Yeah, just really interesting, really charming. Let's see, and then here's another one. It's called Against the Grain. Oh, it was the cat. The cat came in. Against the Grain, How Agriculture Has Hijacked Civilization by Richard Manning. And let's see, what does it say? It says, in this bold book, Richard Manning narrates a fascinating revisionist history of agriculture, from the domestication of plants and animals 10,000 years ago to today's corporate mega farms. Instead of a bucolic myth, Manning portrays an enterprise that was from its inception expansionist and that did not so much accompany colonization as drive it. Drawing on the work of anthropologists, biologists, archaeologists, and historians, as well as his own extensive research, he traces a commodification of grain that has reached its apex in contemporary agribusiness and that has helped to build some of the most familiar and dysfunctional features of our political and economic landscape. Doesn't that sound fascinating? That is a real contender. I'm trying to pick books that I'm going to read during July. So these are ones that looked interesting to me in the library. This one, Consumed, Food for a Finite Planet. This looks really interesting because I know in my video yesterday on the reading challenge, I talked about permaculture and how it addresses so many of the issues that we have. So I'm wondering if that's what this is going to be about. It'd be really interesting to find out. And it's by Sarah Elton, award-winning author of Locavore. So that also sounds like a really interesting book too. But they didn't have that one in the library, so that's interesting. This one looks so beautiful, but it's going to be really hard for me to read. It's called Around the World in 80 Trees. I want to learn more about trees. It seems like there have been like mini-series on trees. Wasn't Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench was going to narrate a thing on trees? I never watched anything like that. And I keep hearing about, isn't there a book called The Overstory? I haven't read that. There's a bunch of books lately on trees that I've been wanting to read and haven't gotten to. And this was a book on trees that they had at the library. And it looks fascinating. I looked at the table of contents and all the different trees from the different continents. I mean, it's got like the cedars of Lebanon and Brazil nut from Bolivia. And let's see, what are some of the other ones? You know, the olive tree from Greece. Just all of the classic trees that we know about. Mangrove, sugar maple, pomegranate. I have a pomegranate tree in my garden. Neem. I use that neem oil in the garden too. Anyway, so it's, you know, it's quite extensive, these 80 trees. But look at that tiny print. It's tiny print. It's kind of light. And it's on this cream, instead of this being a nice crisp white. You probably can't see because of the light. The sun's going down, so the light's weird. But it's on this cream color instead of like a nice white. And then this is not a dark ink. It's kind of a little bit faded. So it's really hard on my eyes. I'm going to have a bright light and a magnifying glass, I think, to read it. But beautiful art. So I want to read this. I may have to wait till after my cataract surgery to do it. And then the next one is Miraculous Abundance, 1/4 acre, 2 French farmers, and enough food to feed the world. And this book has a foreword by Eliot Coleman, who is he's a very well-respected and well-known farmer in the whole permaculture, regenerative farming, niche. And so that, and they also mentioned somebody named, I think his name is Jean Martin Fortier, maybe I think is his name, who up in Canada is a leading figure in regenerative farming and market gardening and that sort of thing, eating local and new ways to raise food and that sort of thing. So this looks interesting. This looks really interesting. It's more about the way to garden. It's more of a gardening book, maybe. Just sort of these two people talking about how, I guess, they broke into market gardening. Anyway, so that is definitely an interesting book. And this one looks a little dry and at the same time kind of groovy. Like it's just, you can see like the black and white photos and when let's see, what did that say? Yeah, from shelter to bioshelter to Gaia. So it's just kind of groovy, but at the same time, it's all about systems and building and that sort of thing. So it's called A Safe and Sustainable World, The Promise of Ecological Design. And I kind of like that. I sometimes watch YouTube channels that have like, not only tiny houses, but people that live in, what do they call them? The earth, the homes that are built half out of earth and those kind of alternative homes that have, that use geothermal and all that sort of thing. So, so this could be interesting, maybe just thumb through it, but I would like to learn more about ecological design in building, because we do not build our houses in a way that's ecological. Like we just don't. Every house assumes you're going to have AC, and it doesn't build it so you can have nice cooling breezes, or they're just not built in the way that they used to be built. All the houses, rely on electricity to do a lot of the work that before the house design would do. So I think that's an interesting topic. I don't know if this book is particularly interesting. This is also a very groovy book, Food Not Lawns, How to Turn Your Yard into a Garden and Your Neighborhood into a Community. And I follow a group on Facebook called, I think it says Grow Food Not Lawn. So it's not Food Not Lawns, but Grow Food Not Lawn, which is an interesting group to follow. And this is like, it feels a little dated, but I think the ideas to be taken from it are good. And a lot of it's just practical gardening, how to garden more organically and grow a lot of food in your own yard. So that's an interesting one. Then, along the same lines, The Vegetable Gardener's Guide to Permaculture, Creating an Edible Ecosystem. And this one, I think, probably appeals to me a bit more. It's got some nice carbon to nitrogen ratio. You have to learn all this stuff. Gardening is very interesting because it introduces you to a lot of science and ways of doing things. Yeah, it's interesting. So this looks good to me. If I had to choose between the two, I think this one is more appealing. And then I got this one because I have a hope and a dream that the school where the little 6-year-old goes to at my parish, at my church, will one day get a school garden. I think that would be so cool to have the kids growing things out in a real garden and learning, having a real hands-on experiential education in terms of nature and biology and all that stuff. So How to Grow a School Garden, a complete guide for parents and teachers. And it actually has like, what are your goals and how to approach a reluctant principal and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit dated too, but I think it might have some really helpful ideas. So these are the books I picked up. A lot of nonfiction. Yeah, it's all nonfiction. There are wonderful books that inspire you about nature that are fiction. I'm going to come up with a list of those because that could be a choice too for the July Sustainability Challenge. Anyway, so that's just my library haul. I'm going to end there, and I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you're, no one's responded so far, but if I keep talking out, maybe somebody will want to join in. So, all right, well, take care then, and happy reading. Bye-bye.